Is a $3,000 watch from a Chinese brand worth it? Today I'm going hands-on with the Atelier Wen Perception. Hi everyone, I'm Craig from Wrist Enthusiast, and as I said in this video, I'll be discussing the Perception from Chinese microbrand Atelier Wen. But before I get into it, if you've been enjoying my content, make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. Historically, when people think about Chinese-made wristwatches, their impressions haven't been good. Perhaps it's due to the vast market of counterfeit watches that are seemingly everywhere, or maybe the unbranded copies that seem to populate websites like Alibaba have something to do with this perception. Whatever the reason, historically, opinions on Chinese watches hasn't been high. But opinions have begun to change. Brands like Baron, Siga Design, and Atelier Wen have broken the mold and ushered in a new era in Chinese watchmaking, creating timepieces that can compete with their Swiss counterparts. Founded in 2018, Atelier Wen has quickly made a name for itself. But it wasn't until the brand released their second collection, the Perception, that the brand really reached real acclaim. At its core, the Perception is an integrated stainless steel sport watch, not dissimilar to the Gerald Genta-designed Audemars Piguet Royal Oak or Patek Philippe Nautilus. Indeed, there are actually some design cues that seem to be inspired by the Nautilus in particular. The case features wings on either side, something that is most commonly associated with the Nautilus. The wings on the Perception are a little less severe and give the case a little bit more of a square feel. Speaking of the case, it's nicely sized at 40 millimeters in diameter by 47 millimeters lug to lug. So even with the case wings flaring out, it doesn't feel oversized on the wrist. On top of that, it's a slim 9.4 millimeters thick. This is even more impressive given the fact that the watch is powered by a Chinese automatic movement, and I'll have more on that later. Because of these dimensions, the watch just wears incredibly well, especially on my 6.75-inch wrist. In the days where more and more people are wearing steel sport watches with suits, or even to black tie weddings, having a watch that fits easily under the cuff is a must. I know some people often cite the Royal Oak as a watch that wears much bigger than its size due to the way the bracelet attaches to the case, and I for one can vouch for that. Perception doesn't suffer this flaw and feels really good while wearing. Speaking of the bracelet, Perceptions is a winner. Perhaps the most important part of an integrated bracelet watch is actually the bracelet design, and creating a unique bracelet is extremely hard to do. But Atelier Wen has managed to pull this off. The bracelet is made of single-piece H-links that are held together by hexagonal pieces. This fits well with the case design, and together it creates a really cohesive design. The bracelet tapers from 22 millimeters at the case to 18 millimeters at the clasp, and it's brushed. All edges of the bracelet, including the inner edges of the links, are chamfered and polished. I like this detail as it gets rid of any harsh edges, but it also shows the attention to detail that the team at Atelier Wen adheres to. To me, the details in the case and bracelet put it on par with the brand's Swiss-made competitors, similar in quality to brands like Christopher Ward or Oris, both of which are in a similar price point. The bracelet also has a pretty ingenious micro-adjust that you can actually use while the watch is on your wrist. By pushing in the logo on the clasp, you can slide the bracelet to give you a little bit more room. While the case and bracelet are both extremely well executed, it's the dial that's the real star of the show. The dial is not just a guilloche pattern, but actually hand guilloched by Master Cheng, the sole guilloche master craftsman in mainland China. Because it's hand guilloched, each dial is handmade using a machine operated by Master Cheng, and the result is simply stunning. While it is also offered in a salmon or copper and gray guilloche, I reviewed the light blue model. The guilloche pattern not only radiates out from the center of the dial, but has additional detailing upon closer inspection. The result is a true conversation starter and something I don't think I've ever seen on a watch just above $3,000. I mean, apparently it takes Master Cheng about 8 hours to complete a single dial. The biggest worry I could see potential buyers having is in the movement. The movement is the extra thin Dandong SL1588 automatic movement, and Dandong is also known as Peacock for those that are familiar with it. Atelier Wen has regulated the movement to plus or minus 10 seconds per day, and that's compared to the standard minus 15 plus 25 seconds per day. And they have also regulated the movement in 5 positions. It beats at 4 Hz and has a power reserve of 41 hours. Historically, Chinese movements haven't been the most reliable, but Atelier Wen has worked with Dandong to create this movement specifically for them. The brand notes that they have tested the movement for both shock and durability, so at least there's some added assurance there. Additionally, it's water resistant to 100 meters and has a screw down crown, which is always a nice touch. The movement can be seen through a small section of the case back. It's well finished, if nothing spectacular. I think that might be why they opted to have a Chinese lion motif engraved into the case back. Indeed, the display portion of the case back is where the mouth would be. I want to know my watch is automatic and to be able to see the movement, but it's not pretty enough to warrant a fully open case back. The lion fits the personality of the watch and is much more interesting. Perhaps the only criticism I have, and it's pretty slight, is the rotor. It seems to be a standard off-the-shelf black rotor with no customization. At a $3,000-ish price point, I would have hoped Atelier Wen would have developed something of their own, but perhaps they didn't want to take away from the ornate lion engraving. Overall, the Atelier Wen Perception ticks most of the boxes in a luxury stainless steel integrated bracelet sport watch. The case, bracelet, and dial are all very unique, and the price point is attractive even with a Chinese movement. I understand people wanting to wait and see how the movement holds up over time, but I don't think that would stop me from purchasing the watch right now. Unique designs are harder and harder to come by these days, and the Perception is as unique as they come. It retails for $3,288. So that's my review of the Atelier Wen Perception. What do you think of the watch? Would you spend over $3,000 on a watch manufactured in China? Let me know in the comments. And remember, if you've been enjoying my content, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.